Welcome to Board Ghost, story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, or has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experience. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we'll play for you. This night's offering is a continuation of our game of Rusalka. To learn how we generate stories playing games of Rusalka, go check out Nick Wedig's website, because this game is not published yet. So when it is, we will put a primer up. In the meantime, we will keep giving you actual plays because we love this game. Our humble players, myself, John Holt, with me.
Ken Breeze.
Amanda McLaughlin.
Julia Shafini.
All right.
Welcome back, both.
Back. We've got our pond. We got everything rolling. To learn what happened last time, listen to the first half of this story in the previous episode. We're going to go right into it. I think we're going to pass time, and Ken, you have the comp.
Cool. Well, I really liked how we were sort of doing a collaborative time passes last time, so feel free to throw in some ideas. Happy to do that. I really do like the idea that the albino crocodile's skeleton is now revealed and has become sort of like their rib cage. The time that has passed, it has been like 2 decades, like 20 years. Alligator is revealed, its large jaws.
Elephant boneyard style.
Elephant boneyard.
Yeah,
exactly.
do people like throw strange and large bones down there? Or is it just that one skeleton that has become just kind of like enshrined almost?
Oh, that's kind of cool. I definitely like the idea that other pets are like buried here.
Oh, we're
Like
going full
animals,
pet cemetery.
Like animals are brought here and left here.
I'd say, too, that there are, like, from the flowers that were planted there, those with the nutrients from the bones and all that, now there's just, like, twines of roses and various flowers, and these bones are decorated by...
Rose bone garden.
And
I love it.
during-
Only like thorny plants.
Yeah,
though.
and
only
during
very dangerous ones.
thorny. And during the winter months, there are no blooms or anything, and it's just like lines,
spikes
of
upon spikes.
Like briar.
like briar, yeah.
Being the tides person, I have this imagery of the tide has kind of gone into the pond at this point, but when the tide kind of recedes, there's probably these beautiful like tide pools full of life and like creepy bone white crabs and stuff like that.
And the poles here have lost their winding sheets and instead now are covered exactly in like algae and anemones that have clumped on there.
Mussels and
mussels, exactly. Birds have made nests at the top of them. There's sort of detritus that still sort of floats, but they're more like bird nets. Yeah, seaweed, dried stuff like that. I think that overhang has been built over this shrine.
That was the look of a DM going, fuck it, let's do
Yeah,
it.
fuck it. Let's do it. That's totally what it was. There's these stone columns that have been
little offering
sunken
gazebo.
in here. Yeah, and it's like an offering gazebo
I love
now.
a gazebo.
Love a gazebo. And
Yeah.
I would posit that the walls around it, the kind of stone demarcation, have in fact risen to full height walls. So good 6-7 feet tall.
We
You
go
know,
full temple then.
in times of prosperity, perhaps time of war and trade, this city has decided to build it up and just to, wall off all that creepy stuff.
Like you want to do.
Where
Yep.
the zombies came from.
Yeah. So sometimes people will leave their offerings on top of the wall, but somehow, some way, every morning it's sort of reset and cleared.
Yeah.
No one's
Wonder
quite
how
sure
our
who does it.
zombies are doing 20 years
We'll
later.
find out.
We'll see.
Let's find out. Anything with the cannonball? Is there like a depression here? Is this turned into like this very large?
Ooh, yeah, I like
Or
the
like-
idea of it. It's definitely like kind of centered in the channel that
Yeah.
is now coming into the pond
Yeah,
and going out of the
exactly.
pond with the
Maybe a
the tide
weird
pool.
little standing wave.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
Standing waves are good. Like
Yeah.
there's constant movement and motion there,
Yes.
even when the water
Yes.
around it is not moving.
Yes.
And there are treacherous eddies, and it's not like there are much things to hit, but just the pull and the
Strange
riptide
tides,
is
yeah.
very
Almost rapids, which you don't see in
Yeah.
a pond leading into the ocean
That
very
brackish
often.
water.
That
so
brackish
even so
water.
it's almost like
minerals.
protected from this direction as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
that does happen though. In periods of where fresh and salty
Mm-hmm.
water meet, there's like weird tides and kind of reversing
Mhm.
of direction.
Awesome.
You do get some cool animal life though in that
Oh,
case.
yeah.
Like you
The
get horseshoe
coolest.
crabs and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Oh yeah. Them jellies.
Pufferfish.
20 years have passed. Much has changed around the pool of the Rusalka. Curiously, on one moonless night, waiting for them, calling to them from the gazebo, in front of the gazebo, almost as if they have appeared out of nowhere, is the spirit of Gregor, the boy who was killed here many years ago. Gregor stands, the same age as he was when he died. And he says, Rusalka, Rusalka, are you there? I need your assistance. Come, I know you are there. I cannot leave this place. Help me move on. Or at least help me get revenge. Yeah, Gregor is a spirit, this apparition, is see-through, looks the same. His skin is sort of sunken and eyes hollow.
A wave grows so big that the moon is blocked momentarily. And by the time it reaches the gazebo, it has flattened out and the waves almost aggressively brush up against the walls of the gazebo. And standing there is Marishka, and she says, I understand your pain. When the others offered boons, I offered nothing. And I will give you a boon this time. I will let you rain down your revenge in every sense of the word. The night that Marishka died, it was raining so hard that they didn't see the pirate ship approaching. They were supposed to return back 2 nights before, but they had been hit with such a storm that they had to reverse their course. There was no moving forward with the winds the way they were, with the storm beating across the bow the way it was. There was no other option. So, of course, they had to take on the storm, even if it meant their death.
Gregor seems to reach out toward Marisha as if, like, yes.
Your hand is enveloped by another hand and pushed down.
Yeah,
Semyon loves to touch.
Yeah.
Love that touch, Semyon.
that touch. Gregor's feels it, which is insane. As a spirit who cannot feel anything, feels the form of Semyon's hand.
And there's a rustling of leaves and a dry sigh. We've watched you stand staring at the water. Your body's back in town. It's with your family. We know not what they've done with it or to it. You would go back to them if you could, huh?
No.
So you want free of this place?
Yes, I have unfinished business, which as far as I can understand, is that I am tied to this body or something. I don't know. You did this. Can you not undo it?
Your passions hold you. I can unbind you from your passions. You merely must ask. And we flash back to Simeon. She's the last we saw her, she had blood on her hands. And now we see her boarding a ship and in the night and stowing away. And she's discovered, and this ship, she's held in their brig, and the ship is besieged by pirates. And they pull her out of the brig and test her loyalty. This brash, cold as steel captain of this pirate ship brings her on. She sails away with a feeling of excitement and this taste for the danger that is in him. But he only wants blood.
The star brightens, and out on the water, Gregor hears a voice. But it's a moonless night, so tonight Rurik is disembodied. And all she has to communicate with is her voice. She says, Gregor, I did what I could to restore you. And any suffering you felt these last decades at the behest of your friends, I regret. I would love to give you what you want, but in order to do that, you must complete my unfinished business. Though I think it may be something that you too wish to do. You see, everything was taken from me by those who did not deserve, but were simply given based on where they were born in life. And it's time to take some revenge. And we flash back to Rurik near the end of her life, looking much like the sort of crone old woman figure that we saw her several flashbacks ago. And she is standing in front of the general store, which is updated. The hardware is newer. The glass is bigger and cleaner. Clearly, time has moved on decades. And we see behind that glass a man who is a similar age and looks just like her. This is her feckless brother who had absconded from his duties, who had left the family, and whose absence meant that the store fell into disrepair and that Rurik had no resources to raise her family. And she looks on with such loathing, regret, such anger at this brother who did nothing and got everything. And she looks around at more eldest sons who have what they have not because of their own work, but by people before them, and don't know the weight of what it is that they have gotten. And we feel in her such resentment turn from an inward hatred outward as she imagines each of them vanishing and their daughters, their wives, taking their place.
Man, we gave Gregor some real good options here. We all felt real bad for Gregor.
Well, Gregor looks around and says, Rusalka, I have wandered this land not knowing what to do. Mother Rurik, Mother Marika, Mother Semyon, I accept all of your boons and gifts. I will take them all.
I didn't know you could do that.
Damn, son.
What happens?
Oh, man, hold on. I gotta look at my card now.
I want it all.
Yeah, Simeon appears before you, this paper tattered outline of a woman, and a smile tears open in her face.
No, gross. The worst kind of smile.
And she reaches out and touches your chest.
Simeon loves to touch.
And your heart, this heat, this part of you, this thing that's holding you together, begins to ice over.
Oh.
And your anger, your passion for revenge, your essence of who you were, potentially turns to cold disregard, and you gain form. You return to being Gregor, and at where your feet touch the ground, ice is forming.
What?
That's when the rain starts.
Oh, is that when?
Girl.
Yeah, it rains. It's a small pattering of rain and drizzle at first, which only grows and grows, and thunder clouds grow in the distance, and lightning starts to strike, and thunder rumbles loud like horses' hooves on cobblestones, and hurricanes follow after that, and floods. The most powerful the village has seen in 100 years.
Petitioner, what else is there to give?
As Gregor takes on form once again, and the storms begin, he's being pelted by rain and hail.
That turns to ice. As
Exactly,
it touches
as
them.
it
Yeah,
touches him,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
And sort of
turning
like
to ice,
that
like penumbra,
smoky,
sort of like evaporating. It's raining into the pool. It's breaking and shattering and drenching everything around it. And very nonchalantly, he simply steps in under the gazebo to get out of the rain, and very coldly sort of regards Mother Rook as he says, "I seek revenge, Mother. Revenge is the last piece on those twins and their family."
Then revenge you shall have. Rurik, it's almost as if her voice is making a extra layer on top of your skin, where you feel a little bit insulated from the ills and troubles, the slings and arrows of the world, and you feel within you a restoration. You have the drive, the awareness, the introspection, and the calculation and ability to exact the plan. It's almost as if you can see it just unfurling like a scroll in front of you, the way that you will enact the revenge that you have dreamed of but didn't know how to achieve. And Rurik says, before you can enact this plan, though, you must disinherit every eldest son in the village. You may do what you wish. You may send them away. You may foil their business. You may decide to take their life. I know, Gregor, that you know what it is to take and to give. The gift of life. And only once you do this will your revenge be possible.
I thank you, wise women of the pool. You have given me everything I have sought, and I will see your task done, Mother Rook. He turns. First thing he does is goes and finds the corpse that was once him and brings it into his service. The second thing, he begins to survey how the floods and the storms have ravaged the land, and helps only those who Mother Rurik asked him to. The eldest daughters, the wives. The sons gain no help, and in fact are stymied and not killed. I don't think that Gregor kills people. And everything he touches turns ice. So there we go. So he doesn't want to kill people, but he does start killing them as they start.
Whoopsie-daisy.
Or the fields and the stores
Yeah,
and the.
that's a good point. No,
Yeah.
that's better. I like that better. Yeah, where he's
Frozen
touching,
floodwaters.
he's freezing their fields.
Right, a bumper
That's
crop turns
sick.
to nothing.
Yeah. I
And-
like that way better.
And without those kind of the easy path in front of you,
Yeah.
you're left to make something for yourself.
Exactly. And so it's like freezing pipes in people's home, like stuff like that, like stuff that makes it like their businesses fail, their livelihoods start to dry up.
Just the
Like
basics.
you
Just
do.
the basics. And he sticks around, and he's known as some like weird ice
Iceman
king?
coming.
Iceman cometh, ice prince,
It becomes the
Ice-
story of Frozen.
or ice ghost. Yeah, right. There it goes. He lets it go.
Like, eventually, does Gregor get his revenge? Gregor even care after a certain
I don't
point?
think so. No, the revenge doesn't matter anymore to him.
Yeah.
It's now that he has the icy heart, it's more about making these demographic changes, which he's been asked to do.
Yeah.
So that's what he sets to. I also think that
And he finds that just, it just keeps. There's just more.
there's more.
everywhere.
There's always more to take care of.
Commitment
I
to
also
a
think that
task.
he doesn't age. Like I think that he
Yeah.
like becomes like this ice person, Iceman.
Sort of elemental.
Yeah, elemental like maybe they're a monster is talked about in ages after
Or like
this.
a traveler that comes in.
Traveler that
Mhm.
comes to take your sons.
Mhm.
Maybe he gets very rich because he invented ice cubes.
There you go.
And he can go around to people's houses and be like, boom, your drinks are
Boom,
cold now.
ice
You're
cubes.
welcome.
See, I
What's
was
up?
gonna say this is getting very Slavic, and then you brought up the ice cube
Ah!
invention.
It seems as if this will be an uneventful night here at the pool. The moon has risen and is on its way back to sleep. The first fingers of dawn are not quite peeking out over the horizon, but that will be happening momentarily. And to the Rusalka's surprise, someone comes then to the altar and stands kind of under the roof right on the precipice, takes off the slippers that she wears, and then steps down onto the sandy shore. She kneels in her nightgown and says, Mother Rusalka's, I seek your guidance. I am to be married tomorrow, but I have met my betrothed only once. I saw him not by daylight but by moonlight, and I know not if he is kind or cruel. I would like your guidance. I would like knowledge of my future, or perhaps some way to change it. And then she lays down a pair of really worn but well-made leather shoes and a whole satchel of choice acorns.
Yo, choice acorns.
And she waits.
I think Marishka is the first one to approach her, and it's much more gentle than her approach to Gregor is. It is gentle, lapping slowly up until the waves touch her toes, just gently. And she says, "Do you want to love this man?"
I will love him if he will love me, if his love will be true. If he will treat me well, I will treat him well. It is my desire to be loved and to love in return.
So you wish to become a woman who will be loved and love him, yes?
Yes, Mother.
I will give you what you want, but it means changing who you are.
May I ask in what way, Mother?
In the way that will make you and he perfect together. And then we flash back. And in that moment, Marishka thinks about what she had wanted most in life. And what she had wanted most in life was the chance that all of her brothers had had, not hindered by wives or responsibility to another, but the freedom to pursue their own choices and pursue their own destinies and pursue their own treasures. And Marishka thinks of all that she gave up, her relationship with her father, never seeing her brothers again. But at the end, she does think it was worth it.
There's it almost looks like an eel slithering beneath the water.
Uh-oh.
Pale.
Pale eels are even worse.
shimmering.
Nope.
And it breaks the water, but the water doesn't really part around it. It just sort of continues to slither through the air, still shimmering like it's under the water.
Simeon, why? Every time.
Nope.
And it comes to stop this shimmering thing, this column of pale white flesh that's somewhat indistinct, and you hear a voice, dry but echoing as if from a moist cave, and it says, "Love is something beautiful. We have been here long, but we have not forgotten love. I see that your heart deserves this and wants this, and I will give you this, and it will be a warmth that will carry you through your days. And good, true love produces fruit and gifts for the world that will go out into the world. All that I would ask is the first of these gifts."
Semyon got a touch.
Simeon, no.
Semyon got a touch.
Every time, Simeon, no.
Semyon,
damn.
Go
Semyon's
real
not
dark
touching
real
you.
quick.
Semyon got a touch. Flashback.
Flashback. Oh. I was dragged to the pool.
Oh no.
And-
oh,
Of course you were.
What first line of a novel
And
imagery bullshit is this?
God
I love
Damn
it.
it, Simeon.
I love it.
weighted with rocks,
Oh no.
and my own flag wrapped around my eyes
The Pirate Queen.
and thrown into the pool. The first thoughts that I have, the first visions I have as a Rusalka, is this sight, and this sight, bright lines that connect me to my past. And so I'm drawn to where my daughter sits weeping, her husband trying to console her. I stand watching over her for her life. My rage and hate, I can see through this line, but I can't reach through it. I can't get her for what she's done. And I watch her life continue on. And she has all the things that I had hoped for her. She has a loving husband, a fruitful life. They move away from the village and continue to have a fulfilling, hopeful, good, growing life. And all the things that when I was alive and loved her, I wanted for her, she has and gets, and she is cared for, and I hate her for it.
May I add a small thing to that flashback?
Sure.
When Semyon was drowned in the lake, Marishka waited for her smugly.
Yeah.
I kind of like that we're all there for each other in death, though.
yeah. Yeah. You know, it's a sisterhood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're not competitive. We know that every gift, every offering is different.
That's behind
Marishka's
it.
just like hanging out by her her
By her
cannonball,
cannonball.
being like, "Hey, remember
What
when you
up?"
murdered me? That was cool."
Oh, you recognize this cannonball?
Oh, yeah, you see this? Kind of sucks.
The sound of a woodblock can be heard over the soft lapping of the waves. It comes sporadically as the figure of Bodana in her ancient, outdated clothing, her hair up in a style that hasn't been worn in centuries, is walking along the poles that line the border between the pool and the sea.
Hag crane, I love it.
She begins to float down onto the pool, and as she lands, it rises up to meet her, cloaking her as it always does. She looks at the petitioner and smiles her mask, almost like eggshell, shifting. It's not like her muscles are working. It's almost like a mask is changing its form. That demeanor, that mien, stays fixed as she walks forward. The wood block sound continuing even as she's stepping on the water. She's looking at the petitioner as she says, "Love. Powerful. I can give you what you seek, petitioner. I can give you the knowledge of how your beloved may treat you in the future. You should go to him in the moonlight. Go to him in a form that he will not know. See how he treats you, and you will know then what your future holds. It is my gift to you, a bride who has her whole life in front of her." And we flash back as Bodana remembers her first meeting with her betrothed. She had had a bad reputation, a cursed reputation in the village.
Joan Jett.
Mhm.
I saw Amanda going for that.
After the business with her father's soul and him being a
that
zombie.
thing, yeah.
And thankfully, the zombie was driven out of the village and don't have to worry about that anymore. And she was betrothed to her best friend's older brother, someone who she had known since childhood and lived with. She knew this person very well, but she wasn't very attracted to them. There wasn't a lot of chemistry between them, but it was very traditional for her to marry into this family. She had lived with them for years. She had no family of her own. She had no prospects or skills beyond her farm skills and her skills in the ways of the wise. And so she decided to try another charm, to form a love bond between them. And she invited him to the woods, and they began the ritual. Bodana was not a very skilled practitioner, and so again her charm failed. And the love that he felt burned so brightly that it was going to burn her. He was going to consume her. And so she had to defend herself. His blood on her hands and the shame at having to kill her best friend's brother drove her from the village.
Natasha kneels on the shore, her hands clutching her knees.
Her eyes, her shoulders, her neck, her feet. The air of a connoisseur. Sorry.
Some great comet reference. Okay. And she looks between the Rusalka. She says, "Mother Marichka, I thank you for your confidence. I thank you for your gift. But even the fate of my family, our destitute nature that will be solved by this marriage, I don't think it's worth giving up who I am. So, gratefully and with respect, I decline. Mother Semyon, I come from a background with nothing. And I am in this betrothal because it will make things so much better for my family, if not for me. And I cannot afford to give away anything that might come of this union. So respectfully, I decline."
The column twists and you're sprayed with a stinging water droplets. Very hard, very fast, very angry.
Salty in your eye.
Yeah.
Brackish.
Mean.
Mother Badana, I seek true knowledge of my betrothed, of myself. So, gratefully, I accept.
Natasha.
then you will leave this place with a gift that will be yours and that you'll be able to pass down to your daughters. Come with me. As Bodana puts out her hand, and the petitioner rises as Natasha rises, taking her hand, is guided over to the boneyard, the briar patch.
Yeah.
Bodana gestures, and one of the rib bones begins to shake and shiver as it rises out of the ground. It is a wolf's rib.
Yeah.
As she hands the wolf's rib to Natasha and says, "Say the words as you were taught, and you will turn into the wolf. Go to your betrothed as the wolf. See how he treats the wild animal."
Natasha takes the rib, bows, and goes home.
The voice following her as she is going home says, "If he rejects you, you can always join the pack."
Damn. I love it. So, Natasha does so. Can I do this only at night
Please,
or
you
anytime?
do it you whenever. Yeah, anytime.
Can I use the pelt only at night?
You can use it anytime.
Anytime.
Anytime,
Excellent.
day or night.
So Natasha walks through the forest back to the village, but before kind of emerging from that tree line to go into the back garden of her home, she dons the wolf pelt, and in it feels more powerful, more unfettered, more alive and in tune with the earth than she ever dreamed possible. And she bounds around, she sniffs stuff, she eats a squirrel.
All right,
And
bloodlust
then
already.
right around the dawn, as people are going outside to tend to their livestock to get ready for the day, she emerges toward her betrothed, who's out collecting eggs from the hens. And he immediately jumps back. He sort of looks around furtively as if to say, like, oh, is someone here who can help? And then picks up a stone from the ground and throws it at her. And he misses, but she's seen what she has to see. So she goes home, takes the pelt off, has her sight and her hearing and her taste buds recalibrate, and calls off the wedding and explains to her father and mother and the younger siblings that she knows that she cannot do this, and while they're disappointed and this would have meant stability for their family like they'd never felt, they support her. And so Natasha makes a habit of wearing the pelt, of having her wolf time, of exploring the world with an autonomy that she had never expected to have. And later in her life, when she does marry, it is not to someone rich, but to someone of middling circumstances who she loves. And together, she and her wife make a home, make a family, provide in the way that they can for Natasha's parents and her siblings. And they are not rich, but they are happy. They are enough. And sometimes when her half of the bed is empty, but there are howls from outside, her wife smiles, turns back over, and waits for Natasha to come home.
Yay!
We'll never finish this recipe if we don't get a firstborn.
Never!
Wolf's got a wolf. How long is a good idea? How long has passed?
I think it's been long enough that people have kind of forgotten about the stuff that Gregor did. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think we've kind of moved to this point where, like,
You want to say it's 100 years in the future?
it's been 100 years because my card did say before
Oh.
it's like the biggest storms that had happened in 100 years.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think that time has definitely passed. I almost imagine the pond is almost marshy at this point, where it was solid land once, but now it's all marsh and mud, and it's very difficult to almost approach the pond. You know what I mean?
Is the wall like just
I think
collapsing?
I
or-
think the wall is probably collapsing, but the like marshiness has not quite gotten past it yet.
Got it.
Like it almost does have like sort of a mystical quality to it where it
They're
can't
ruins.
pass the wall,
Yeah.
but it is ruined. Like everything the wall up to the wall that has been touched by the pond.
Can you imagine that though? Like marshy, salty, otherworldly, ethereal ruins up to the point of this half-dead stone wall, and then on the other side, normal forest. Oh my god.
And has it been a while since anyone's come by?
Yeah, I think probably almost to the similar sense of the young child who'd come. It's very much in the folklore at this point, so people don't approach it for actual boons. They kind of, it's almost Bloody Mary-esque, where people test their luck there, and the Rusalkas don't really even bother at this point.
It seems like maybe the boneyard has just really
Just sunken
fallen-
into the
sunken
mud.
in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all sunken in the mud. So are the flowers gone too? Is it just turned into sort of a
I can imagine almost the
Briar?
briar still remains.
briars? Yeah.
For 2 months out of the year, the flowers still sometimes bloom out of there.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
they
But-
grow up these dead trees
Mhm.
too. There's a saltwater killed and sort of preserve these trees in the marsh.
Spanish moss style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the thorns grow up them.
So after these 100 years have passed, a woman approaches. She has to almost clamber over the wall because what remains of the shrine is half sunken in the mud. And she holds this small silver box that almost looks familiar in a lot of ways. And she approaches the water one step at a time, halting movements. And she has a walking stick in her hand, and she gently, almost like one would rap at a door, she raps against the water, the still water of the pond. And she speaks out and she goes, I am older than every single one of you that lives here. You have no possible imagination for what I can do. I can provide you with so much, but first, you need to lend me your power. Imagine the oldest person you've ever
Got it.
seen and then age it up by like 10
Got it.
years.
So she looks super
Very
old.
old.
Looks super crowned.
Her
Very
wrinkles got
old.
wrinkles.
Her wrinkles got wrinkles, but like there is light in her eyes. She is not, there is no like delusion there. There is no like, there's nothing lost there. She is as spry as she was probably when she was like 17. You know what I mean? When
Does
it
she have
comes
a name?
mentally.
I wanted to know if Rurik could know her name.
Oh, you know what? That's actually a good point. They might know her name. I can almost imagine her being from the area and have been watching this for a long time. And it's now that she needs to act. Rose works.
Mhm.
I'll go for Rose.
No twinkling stars this time. Just out of the lake rises the ghostly, lily-crowned, elderly figure of Rurik. And this time she bows and says, Mother Rose, I hope you fare well tonight. I can give you what you want, but I must tell you, out of respect, that this may bring you great harm. And we flash back to Rurik in her older age. Not quite as old as we just saw her, but maybe 10 or 15 years younger. And she is fighting with the men who run the town council. The almost chamber of commerce and local government rolled into one. And fighting, we can tell that she's in different clothing. She has like a very tanned face. She has traveler's boots and a traveler's cloak. She's coming back to town for the first time in a long time and trying with all she has to get her legacy back to petition to hope that morals and societal expectations have changed and she'll be allowed to take back over what is rightfully hers. She has kids who need her. She has debts to pay. She has had a hard life trying to make enough to make ends meet. And they are not allowing it. In fact, someone whispers to another and they gesture off to the side, and then a policeman walks in and arrests her for taxes owed.
Whoa!
Damn history.
And in fact, she's not even being held to account for taxes that she owed, but taxes that her brother did not pay back when he inherited the property that she was trying to claim. And so she is sent to prison for misdeeds that she did not commit. And this frustration, this envy, this anger flashes through her as she watches Rose, an elder even to her, here at the banks of the pool.
There's less illusion. It's almost, again, like a piece of paper being turned to you. So once there was a thin edge invisible, it turns and there's a figure. And this is maybe the most whole that anyone's seen Simeon. And she bows and says, "Mother Rose, we are honored that you would finally come to our pool. I fear what it would do to us to give you our gift, but you have asked, and I will answer. I will give you our power, my power at least. You will need to leave us some trinket, something to at least hope that you might return one day and give us back what we lent." And she bows again, and beyond her, the camera rack focuses, and we see one of the last standing poles out in the water, and it's rotting and moldering, and we shift to a time where we see this broken mast being shoved into the mud by a pair of burly men, and standing over it, fists on her hips, is Semyon. And they turn to her and say, "Are you really giving it up?" And she sighs, and there's a sorrow. The joy of the sea isn't there. When she looks out over it, there's a sadness. And she takes a winding sheet and climbs to the top of this pole and wraps it there, binds it tight, and goes back down, takes the flag from the men and says, "My time at sea is done. Fair sailing," and walks towards the village.
Pool begins to boil. Bubbles popping larger and larger. From this boiling cauldron, a scream pierces the night of anger, and all that rises up is a huge representation of the mask that Bodana wears.
Oh, damn.
Its mouth is turned downwards in a frowning, open, yawning scream as it is just hurtling towards Rose. Water is whisking out on each side of it as the rest of Bodana's body begins to form behind this mask. She is horizontal to the pool as she is scudding forward, shooting forward. The mask has shrunk to be her face again. Her hair is unbound, no longer up. It is flowing wild on each side of her, and she is yelling, You did this to me. I remember you, Rose. I remember. And she curses at you. Leave. I will haunt you for the rest of your days. I will haunt you until you leave this place. Flashing back. Bodana remembers her best friend's family, rousing the crowds to hunt her down, to seek justice. The blood on her hands had dried. She had tried to clean it off in the forest, but only the sea, she thought, would be the place to do it. But the crowds found her, and she had to hide and attempt to escape. She found her way to the ancient stones that had been laid in the ground that marked this place as holy, as a place where spirits could be touched and spoken to. Rose was there. Rose bade her enter the pool to hide from the crowd. And as she did, an alligator ate her. An albino crocodile. Maybe not alligator, excuse me.
I want to say Rose is unfazed by that. Being the...
She's so old.
She's so old. I think Rose kind of sighs at Bodana's performance.
Nice.
And like almost mutters like, children will always blame their parents for acts of protection. Is it worse to be drowned by angry townsfolk than it is to be swallowed whole? And she kind of like almost brushes Bodana's anger to the side and continues. My daughters, Rorik, Semyon, I will take your boons. I am older than you could possibly imagine. So much harm, so much pain, so much grief I have felt. A little harm and not taking everything are no matter to me when it comes to power.
So my consequence is to bring great harm.
Sweet.
What do you think is appropriate? Like maybe she feels her age. Maybe she is corroded.
I have this image of she's able to complete her task, which is sort of bringing the person who threatens her out of power, but it takes away all of her power in order to do so. So she does feel her age, but she loses the magic ability that she has before, and I imagine it almost draining back into the pond, giving it even more power than the Rusalkas had before they now have, instead of her holding it inside of her.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, mine was that you would give up the skill or trait that most defines your life.
There we go.
Boom
So
shakalaka.
yes, taking the power. I might almost say too, like at the moment of your triumph,
Mm-hmm.
the glint in your eye, your knowledge of this long-lived, powerful life, is taken from you as well.
Damn.
So that
No.
you have a hollowness. You know there was something, like something maybe you were supposed to do, something to complete, something that you were and you are, and you can't find the edges of it because it resides at the bottom of the pool.
There's no satisfaction in her victory.
Mm-hmm. We've taken your knowledge and your gained insight.
Oof.
That's your skill in life.
Oof,
Dark
doof.
God.
And I will not give you what you want, but I will haunt you as a specter
Well,
until
yeah.
you die
Oh, damn.
or driven out of the village. So
I have to not accept that.
yeah, you don't even get a choice.
Oh,
that's just what's happening.
Oh man, I wish I had known that about refusals before.
It's basically that the sort of comedy tragedy masks follow you around and sort of try and
That's fair.
yeah.
And the problem is she doesn't even know why.
Exactly.
Oh,
It
that's
goes
rough.
along with this. I don't know why, but they're like mocking you for your
Yeah.
feeling that you should be remembering
Poor
something, but
Rose.
you're
Yes.
not.
You
and
accomplished it, but you
your
feel so much
power.
worse.
Yeah.
Poor Rose.
we've played 7 scenes, and that will demark the end of this thing. So I don't actually one more scene. That's
Cool.
totally cool. What we like to do though is kind of go around and tell one sort of truth about the pond or the village that lets us cap off, like close it up. Like it can be about your Rusalka, it can be about all of us, or just something like a truth about the world that can help us close out this pond. And it doesn't have to end it forever. It's just find each person's little epilogue statement.
I have a good one if you want me to.
Yeah.
Marishka died at sea, and she never imagined that she would see her home again. But the fact that the cannonball that demarked her grave rolled into the pond that was only a stone's throw away from her village had to have meant something. The boons that she gave, the lessons that she taught there, were only to teach the young people and those with nothing to lose that there was still plenty to lose.
The pond's influence grows. So much power has been seeded here now that I almost I'm thinking that there might be some sort of witch's isle that begins to rise out of the sea just off the coast.
As the ages go on, those bright lines to the past, those things that that held her emotion, that tied her to the living, fade, shut off one by one as the people that she knew and their ancestors eventually end. And so she's left, even her rage is cooled, and she is just this sad, scarred thing, staring at the waves.
Mine was going to be hopeful. I hope that's okay.
Yeah,
Go for it.
please.
Well, even as the traditions fade and living memory forgets about what was once gotten and taken at the pond, Rurik's influence remains. All of her influence remains. The power of the pond is undeniable. And so sometimes on moonlit nights, when the moon is full, or where lilies grow, or wherever woman needs help, needs power, feels like she is yearning for some help outside herself, Rurik is there and helps you accomplish, sometimes for good, sometimes bad, sometimes the way you want it, and sometimes the way you don't. An outcome that you thought you could never get to on your own.
Awesome. That's an awesome game of Rusalka. Thank you
that
both
was
so much.
Extremely fun and on brand for us.
Yay!
I didn't cry nearly as much as I thought I was going to.
Didn't cry, did talk a lot about death
Yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot
and a lot about feminism,
Yeah, a lot about.
anti-capitalism, and magic.
Yeah,
Did
love it. This game
also
kicks ass.
prove that I wouldn't be a good demon because very few of my boons were accepted.
Nah.
yeah, it's that like, hey, I'm
Hey,
a magical
Right?
used car salesman.
give me your firstborn child.
And that, I mean, the way that John Couch was like, oh, he didn't say firstborn child, you know, it's the fruits. And,
It's all about closing.
yeah.
No.
ABCM.
Could be my home, could be my crop. No way.
Child.
With that, our story ends. We will continue with a new tale to spin to dare to entertain. I I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho and on Instagram at board_ghost. Ken, where can people find you?
Board Ghosts, please find me on Twitter at Berlingsbeard, BERLINGS Beard. My website of the same name. Also on Instagram. I am a freelance dungeon master in the New York City area. So if you want to play some games, be it D&D or more storytelling focused games, please contact me via my website. Would love to meet you.
Do you want to go first this time?
My name is Julie Schaffini. That's JuliaSchifini. You can find me on Twitter at that same name, and also that is my website, juliaschaffini.com. I am a founding member of Multitude Productions, and I'm the co-host of Spirits Podcast.
If you like all things witchy, magical, feminist, and probably against capitalism, you're going to love Spirits. Put it into your podcast player, subscribe, and listen to Julia and me talk every single week about a new story from around the world. I am Amanda McLaughlin. I'm at She's So Mickey on Twitter and Instagram, and I am the founder of Multitude, a podcast collective and consultancy. If you like nuanced, enthusiastic takes on stuff that people love, just put Multitude into your podcast player. And we're at multitude.productions, where we also post free resources for podcasters and creators of all stripes.
Yeah, and we talk about anything from mythology to basketball to Harry Potter to Dungeons and Dragons.
So if you like the whole role playing game thing, I think Join the Party will be very up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
So Multitude has worlds for you to discover.
Yay!
Well, thanks again, you both, for coming on. It was a blast to introduce you to this game and get to play with you.
Oh my God, it was
Thank
an absolute
you.
pleasure.
Thank you for having us. Really,
Yay.
really fun, and I can't wait to bring this home when the game is published.
Yeah, I want to play this again,
Awesome.
for sure.
All right. So to find links to everybody's contact stuff, to all the great stuff that everyone's got going on, go to boardghost.com. You can also find the info in our show notes. You can shout out through the ether if you have desires that we could fulfill, boons that we could grant you.
Whatever desire.
But just ask what the consequences are.
Yeah.
Up front.
Very important.
Read the fine print.
At Board Ghost World on Twitter, the place for all your wishes to be fulfilled.
They really are the mythical terms and conditions, right? You never quite know what's buried in there.
Yeah.
TNC.
I know, those big capital paragraphs near the end. You really got to read
right.
it.
Don't trust it.
Just give us your firstborn.
Oh,
Good.
Don't
Okay,
worry
Twitter, I'm not
about
going to
it.
say no.
You want the blue check, don't you?
Oh, God. Give me that blue check, Twitter.
Man, that is really tempting.
Brutal.
All right. Let's see. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. You can follow us on Patreon or patronize us there, patreon.com/boardghost. You can get access to episodes early, access to the various art we do for the show in wallpaper format, and how to play videos that are exclusive to patrons. So yeah, go check us out there. Thanks again, everybody, for coming on and playing. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they're consumed, the truer they become.
'Cause Diane don't agree with me, no. 'Cause Diane don't agree with me.